Good evening and welcome to the Royal Rundown Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Gay, joined by my co-host Zach Cloud and Weston Bailey. So let's go ahead and get into this previous week's action of Tiger Athletics. So starting off on Tuesday, so first off, the men's and women's swim and dive teams were in Cleveland, Mississippi at the NSISC Championships and didn't do as well as they had hoped. The men, who I'm pretty sure were ranked in the country heading into this meet, finished third of 4 teams, and then the women finished fourth of 5 teams. So, and I believe that for the men, Henderson State men's all
right.
Is that for us?
Let me step out.
It's like getting quieter and quieter, I think.
Yeah, it almost sounded like it was on somebody's phone.
Dang.
Where's that coming from? None of the fire alarms are going off. It sounds like it's coming that way. If we see people running, we'll go.
Evacuate the building!
Yeah. I'll probably leave that in. I think that's kind of funny.
Get to the chopper!
All right.
I'm back.
Yeah.
We're back.
Maybe we can get through the episode without the building burning down or something. We'll see. But yeah, Henderson State, the Red Wave, they got the win at the NSISC Championship. So Ouachita's swimming season is over officially, but still remarkable performances all season. So much so that the head coach of the swim and dive teams, Coach Bostic, was given Coach of the Year, which is awesome. So especially since, and I was talking to one of the swimmers this afternoon, Isaac Bourne, and he said that he is very deserving of it. They were in the top 40, maybe 50 in the country. And, you know, he comes in, makes quick work, and they're right there, top 20 in the country. So,
Nice.
Especially since it's kind of a young and relatively was inexperienced swimming group. So, congratulations there. Now, softball also played on Tuesday. Now, that first game, Ouachita was hosting Williams Baptist in a NAIA school out of Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, and they would win 4-3 on a walk-off hit. It was a heck of a game. It's my first softball broadcast of the season. I could have done a better job, but Ouachita did a great job pulling out the victory, but they couldn't keep it up for that second game, losing 1-4 against the Eagles, and just kind of unfortunate there. But on Thursday, we had basketball in Durant, Oklahoma, and really basketball is kind of both women and men. They've been in a rut, and they needed a win. Neither of them could get it. The women played the Savage Storm, which frankly that's a pretty cool name. I do admit the Savage Storm's a pretty cool name. Certainly better than the Reddies or the Boll Weevils. Or the Cotton Blossoms.
Anything beats the Reddies.
Oh, yeah. We all beat the Reddies.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway. But, Weston, talk about the women losing 68-75.
Yeah, it was actually, like you just said, it was a pretty close game. 68-75. I guess I'll go into a little bit of statistics first. We actually had 2 girls near a 20-point game. Lainey Mears had 18. Madeline Tipton had 17. Mears had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Tipton had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Joey Babel filling out the stat sheet like she usually does in 33 minutes, which was second on the team. She had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. And then nobody else got over 10 points or anything like that. We shot 25 of 66 from the field, 8 of 23 from 3. So not exactly what we're used to percentage-wise. And then from the free throw line, we had a good percentage at 10 for 12. We just didn't get to shoot very many free throws. Didn't seem like we were getting fouled very often.
Home cooking.
Yeah.
You got to take that into account.
No kidding. And I think in the first quarter, actually in the first 2 quarters, we were 2 for 10 from 3. So I think just, not getting the long ball to fall early in the game was really killer in this one. But I'm sure you're about to talk about it. These girls still have a reason to fight. And, playing close games like this, if they get in and sneak into that tournament, it's only going to make them better.
Well, we'll cover it after we talk about their Saturday game. But, they have a tendency to live and die by the three, and so do the men's team. The men certainly a lot more. But it makes sense with the women. They were, if not number 2 in the conference in three-point shooting last year, or percentages, makes, what have you. And they have one of the best shooters in the conference, Lainey Mears. And, they just got to get them going. But conference tournament hopes are still alive for the women's, but they are hanging by a thread. Now, Zach, talk about the men. They did not have as close of a game.
Yeah, the men's game didn't fare so well. We lost 95-74, and it was, you could tell Southeastern really just kind of controlled the game from the start. They outscored us by double digits in both halves. And but as far as our guys go, Tyler Haynes, he played really well for us. He had 22 points and 6 rebounds. And then Taryn Williams, he also added on 13 points and 6 rebounds. And he shot 50% from the field. But like what Chris mentioned earlier, we do tend to live and die by the three. In this game, we kind of died by it. We shot 6 for 21, which gave us 28% from the three-pointer, and then also not just from there, but from the free throw line, we shot 66%. So that's both of those percentages are going to be hard for us to keep up with a team that's scoring 95 points against us. But yeah, we also Tyler Haynes, he had 2 blocks, which was our only 2 blocks for the game, and as a team collectively, we only had 3 steals compared to our 14 turnovers, and so with a margin that wide, that's definitely a big indicator to the big loss that we had. But as far as Southeastern goes, though, they had a guy, he shot 7 for 13 from 3, and he made more threes, just him alone, than our team did as a whole. So that's
Cody Clowett, he killed us.
He had a really nice game. But yeah, it just wasn't really our day. But playing against Southeastern, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're the top team in the conference, and they're like in conference play, they're 16-3, I believe, something close to that. So they're definitely a really good team, and we just weren't able to run with them.
Yeah, we struggled against the second best team in Arkansas Tech when they were in our home gym, and it made a lot of sense to struggle against the top team at their house. But so we'll talk about them a little bit more in just a second. But another update, we still hear that buzzing or whatever, that ringing. Noise down the hall. Is very faint down the hall.
Demolishing O.C. Bailey as we speak.
I did hear about that. Yeah, that is.
Got some new renovations coming.
And I don't even know. O.C. Bailey was for freshman guys, right?
Freshman football players.
Yeah, freshman football players. So, that dorm building or that dorm won't be totally demolished.
From heavy renovations.
Yes, heavy renovations. So, for your senior year and your junior year, it will not be used at all. There's going to be some major housing updates. Adjustments, big time. One of the apartments actually right down the street, Tapman Corner, it will be all guys apartments, which makes my girlfriend very unhappy because she wanted in that apartment, and
They're also expanding it. Like that place, if it was a 1-bedroom, is now becoming 2, and if it's 2, is now becoming 4.
Yeah, when they say expanding,
it's not getting any bigger.
No, they're gonna stick 4 beds in. Or 2-bed. Well, I guess it was originally just a 2, maybe 1-bedroom or 2 bedrooms, maybe.
Yes. And
so
now they're just gonna make.
Now it's gonna be like a suite now, where you have 2 beds and 1 room for each room. So it can't be that much better than going into Anthony. I did hear Anthony. The first floor is just going to be freshmen, which I think is kind of interesting, but.
I feel like they should get the top floor.
Yeah,
4th floor.
And Susie Everett will now be a guys' dorm, which kind of surprises me too.
We'll return to how it originally was. I think it was guys. When
it used to be guys a long time ago,
about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
or so.
but it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's more girls on campus than guys. I think it's like a 70-30.
I was just about to say 7-3 ratio.
Yeah, so.
Like that.
And now you're cutting the women's dorms, down a bit because Tapman was for both. I always forget the term. I'm not even going to say it, but it's for guys and girls. And gosh, dang it, it's going to bug me. Can y'all help me? What does it mean when both genders can be in the same dorm?
Co-ed?
Yes, it was a co-ed apartment. I will forget it later. I
know that term from intramurals.
Oh,
Water
that's
polo.
right. That's right.
Water polo.
Yep,
let's
water
go.
polo and intramural is going to happen. I apologize. I got us off track, but
That's fine. That's my fault.
no, you're good. Now, going back to the Ouachita game, Tyler Haynes had 22 points, a phenomenal showing, but even better than that, he hit 1,000 career points for his time at Ouachita. Now, he'd been in other places before us, so it's not 1,000 career points. It's just, and he's in his third season with us, so it's 1,000 points in just 3 years, just like what Laney Mears did earlier, actually just a couple weeks ago. So, again, congratulations to Tyler. He's worked his butt off.
It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. And, he's battled through injury this year. He's dealt with a really bad mouth injury. So, really glad to just see all that hard work pay off. But so on Friday and Saturday, but we'll talk anyway, both baseball and softball were in action. For softball, it was their first conference series, and they didn't exactly fare well, losing 1-7 and 0-8 on Friday, and then 2-10 on Saturday. But you guys got the series win, your first conference series victory of the season.
We did. It was our first series win in general, and man, it was awesome. I'll kind of just go over the 3 games. We played 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, like you said. The one on Friday, we won 14-4. Our ace, Cooper Timmons, started the game and had a phenomenal game, and the offense just exploded behind him. I mean, and when I say exploded, I mean like 3 home runs hit. We were getting guys over, getting them in. Scored a bunch late in the game too to kind of make the score look worse than the game actually was. But it was an awesome first win, and then we turn around and play that game too. I guess I should mention, I'm going to talk about a bunch, but G. Allen, who was an All-American last year, got ejected in this game and then was not able.
Maybe I shouldn't laugh. But
we laugh about it now. It's okay. Got ejected in this game and then wasn't able to play in the second game, so that made some lineup changes come to front. But not that I mean, we always have a next guy up mentality, so not saying that as an excuse, just to put that out there for the viewers. And we lost 9-0 in the second game. It was a weird game. We had like 5 errors in this game, and we were in the top 25 in fielding percentage in the country last year. That's just not who we are, making errors and stuff like that. But our pitching staff struggled a little bit in this game. Every time we'd get momentum, someone would hit a ball in the gap, and he tried to extend a double to a triple, and he'd get thrown out at third. Like every time we tried to take momentum back in this game, it just got shoved right back in our face. But I'll tell you what I love about this team so much is just its resiliency. And after that kind of humiliating loss, right after a big win, we came back on Saturday and found a way to win. We won 6-5, an absolute nail biter. If you were at the game, I'm sure it was awesome just to be there and spectate. But Luke House started this game and in back-to-back innings gave up solo bombs in the first inning and second inning, and then went like 4 or 5 scoreless after that. So an amazing bounce back from him. He threw an amazing game. The offense put it together when we needed to. One of my best friends, Joseph, got to start at catcher all weekend because Mikey Quinones and Cade Burris are both battling some injury, and he had a phenomenal weekend. It was just an all-around great team vibe. It was awesome, for us to get a series win like that, and we'll get to it in the preview. But we got some more good games coming up, and man, I couldn't be more stoked.
It just sounds like you guys are deep.
We are.
You guys are very deep, yeah. And you said next man up mentality, and what you're down to basically your third string catcher, and does a great job.
Yeah, and I mean we're just kind of everywhere. I mean, in the pitching staff too. Coach Howard says all the time it's the most talent he's ever had in the as a pitching staff, but we're the least experienced. I mean, we lost a lot of innings from guys that left last year, and so just as guys continue to get innings under their belt, and young guys too. I mean, we had 2 freshmen that started all 3 of these games this weekend. I mean, those guys are just going to continue to get better, and I also forgot to mention G. Allen definitely made up for his suspension and hit 2 bombs in the game on Saturday. So he did his part. But, man, I'm really excited about the way this team's moving forward. We're sitting at 6-6, 3-3 in conference. We're still chasing a ring, and we're on the right track.
Well, we expect that. So, again, on Friday, men's tennis, they went to, I think this was their first road match of the season against Tyler, Texas. Against UT Tyler in Tyler, Texas. We love playing UT Tyler for whatever reason, but where we would lose 2-4. But also on Saturday, it was not the best day in some of the other athletics for Ouachita's. The Ouachita women's basketball, they would go to East Central in Ada, Oklahoma, and face off against the Tigers in the always classic battle of the Tigers. And look, I look at the score. Ouachita was leading well in the first half. It was a grinded out, gritty game against a East Central squad that's better than their record of 4-16 in the conference. But when we only put up 6 points in the fourth quarter and they put up 22, you're going to lose every single time. Doesn't matter if you have a lead or not. So Ouachita lost 48-61 in enemy territory. And in that fourth quarter, we only made 2 shots. One of them was a 3, missed the other 4, and then went 1 of 2 from the free throw line. It just seemed like maybe we turned the ball over a ton of times. I mean, the numbers aren't going to jump out at you. I mean, the field goal percentage was not bad up until the fourth quarter. The three-point percentage was pretty good, shooting 41% on the day. This was just not a game that Coach Dallimore is going to, and I usually for OSDN, either if I'm doing play-by-play for the women, I'm interviewing Coach Dallimore. If I'm doing play-by-play for the men, I'm interviewing Coach Nutt. This is one of those games that I'm glad I didn't get to interview Coach Dallimore because I don't know if I would have been able to get anything good out of him, especially after a string of losses. So, and it also doesn't help that we got out-rebounded 30-19, and they had 9 offensive rebounds. So, again, not going to talk too much more about the team stats. Now, Lainey Mears had a pretty solid game. She had 15 points, hit 3 threes, had 2 steals. And then Madeline Tipton had 7, and so did Grayson Fairless. Joey Babel had still a solid all-around game. She had 6 points, 7 rebounds, a steal, and then 9 points from Samantha Watson off the bench. She made all of her shots, had a couple steals, but again, just only one player in double figures, and only 6 players scored for Ouachita, which sometimes it's fine if only, a handful of players score, but only if they're, getting double digits, not when the other 5 are getting single digits. So not the prettiest game for sure, but hopefully we'll build on it better. Goodness, this room is not soundproof. I always forget it is not soundproof. But while we're talking about the women, these last several losses have not been good for Ouachita. We're on a 4-game losing streak. Need to break it badly. We'll have a chance at home against Southern Arkansas. Now, looking at the GAC standings, Ouachita is sitting number 9 in the conference standings. And, of course, the top 8 teams make it into the tournament. The top 5 have already clinched a spot in the tournament. Southern Nazarene, no surprise there, 25-1 overall and 19-1 in the conference. Initially, and their one loss coming against Harding. I thought Harding would be the number 1 team, but they've lost 2 in a row. But they've still clinched at number 2. Northwestern Oklahoma State, who we beat when they came to our house, which was a huge upset. Doesn't matter. They're still locked at number 3. Henderson State at number 4, begrudgingly. Southwestern Oklahoma State at number 5, sitting there with a 10-10 conference record. And then everybody else has a losing record in conference play. But you can tell that we just need 2 more wins, and hopefully that either Southern Arkansas, well, if we beat Southern Arkansas, that would be great. But we don't play Oklahoma Baptist for the rest of the season. We only have 2 games coming up, Southern Arkansas and Arkansas Monticello. Monticello sitting right there down at the bottom of the conference. So hopefully that's a win, and hopefully the women do a lot better at home than they do away. So maybe that will come into account. So we're just hoping for a win. These next two games, would love it if they snuck into the conference playoffs. Still a chance, but now for the men, their chances may not be as likely. Zach, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah. This game against, we played against East Central. We showed a lot more fight than we did the game before that, but we still ended up coming away with a loss. We lost 76-69. But, some of our guys, I think the reason we lost this game is because some of our guys were used to seeing a lot of production from. We just didn't see as much from, because we had Tyler Haynes. He still played pretty well. He had 15 points and 8 rebounds. And then Reggie Martin, he had 14 points and 7 rebounds. And, they're two of our guys that always play most of the game for us. But we had Taryn Williams. He only had 3 points, and we're used to seeing him, be one of our leading scorers. He shot 1 for 5 from the field. So, he only made one shot the whole game, and if he made a few other shots, it could have been like a 1-score game. So it's just, this is one of those games that kind of didn't really fall our way. We still we played pretty well as a team. From shooting the ball, we shot 44% from the field, which isn't horrible, but from three-pointer, we only shot 25%, and free throws was 68%. So on offense, it was very similar to the game we played before this one, and it just kind of carried over into this one. Again, we only made 6 threes as a team, but we still had 14 second chance points, and for East Central, they had just a really balanced scoring attack. They had guys score 17 points, 16, 15, and 13. And so they had, it's going to be kind of hard to stop a team whenever they've got multiple guys they can go to at the same time. So they just played a little bit more efficiently than we did, I guess, is what I would say.
Well, the last time we played them, we played great, but they got their revenge. So now going into Sunday, women's tennis played against Angelo State, hosting them for the first time, their first home match in a while, and they didn't exactly take advantage of it, losing 1-6. But men's tennis, they would win on the road, still in Tyler, playing against St. Mary's University. Ouachita would win one doubles match, and that was Lager and Osman, defeating one of the Radlers groups 7-5. And then in singles, Blanchard, Exner, who's number 13 in the country for singles, Doctors and Lager would all win in singles. So obviously great there to see for Ouachita. Definitely a nice bounce back for a team that I don't think they're currently ranked. Let me just clarify that. It still shows that they're number 23. I don't think new rankings have come out. It's never good when you have back-to-back losses, but we'll see if the tide changes a little bit there. Well, that's all that happened this past week in Ouachita Athletics. So let's go ahead and go into our Tiger Prow. Let me stop myself right there. Actually, we're going to talk about the men's GAC standing for basketball. I totally forgot about it, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So I had mentioned how the road for the men getting into the conference tournament would be kind of tough. Ouachita was no longer bottom of the conference for a while after beating Henderson at their house. Now they're back at the bottom, and it's not impossible to make the tournament.
Still a little bit hopeful.
It's hopeful. It's
not
hard,
very likely.
But it's exactly. It's not likely, but you can see Southeastern Oklahoma State clinched number 1, and so is Arkansas Tech at number 2. We just lost to East Central, who has a 3-way tie between Oklahoma Baptist and Southern Arkansas for that 8th spot. Now, Southern Arkansas, and both the men and the women, are also fighting to stay in the tournament. And that's going to be, when they come to Bill Vining Arena, they're playing for more than just a simple win. They're playing to play more games. And they're, of course, every team, when they have a shot, they're hoping to win out the conference. That's still the ultimate hope for every team. So we'll see if that can happen. we hope not for Southern Arkansas. We hope for us, of course, and then Arkansas Monticello will be on the schedule after that. And I don't think they haven't clinched a spot in the tournament, but it's pretty likely that they'll probably stick around as they're sitting there at number 6, or tied in a 3-way tie again for number 5. So the conference standings are just so intriguing to just look at, because this conference, you have a couple great teams and then everybody else is on the same level. So but anyway, so we'll go ahead and get into the Tiger Prow preview. So you guys, and I'm talking about Weston, you guys have a baseball game. Now we're filming on Monday, and by the time this comes out, it'll be a day late. But you guys have a game on Tuesday against Delta State, and it seems like that's just a simple one game.
Yeah, we call them our midweek games. Pretty much every week from here on out, we'll have a game on Tuesday. Some of them will be on the road, some will be here at home, and they're just called our midweek games. And they're just as important, just kind of in a different bracket. I mean, when you're talking about playoff selection and seeding and everything, they're just as important. Just obviously they don't count towards your conference ranking.
Right.
But yeah, we play tomorrow at Rab Rogers Field at 2:00. Delta State, they're coming in from Mississippi, and they're a good team. They beat Henderson here last week, so coming to Arkadelphia 2 weeks in a row. But I mean, we're excited. Being a younger pitcher on the team, me and a lot of the other younger guys are going to get a lot of opportunity here in these midweek games, especially to show that we can, pitch on the weekends in conference games. So. It's all hands on deck for these midweek games, because nobody wants to be burned out for the weekend in case somebody's needed. So it's going to be our pitching coach Brown calls it a Johnny Holstaff game. It's going to be probably per inning a new guy, and get in there and do the best you can. But we're excited. I mean, we have 25 games in March, I think.
Wow.
So this starts up a stretch. We're not in March yet, but this weekend obviously will be. So we're starting up a stretch of a lot of baseball, and I couldn't be more excited.
Well, March Madness and just not basketball. That's great. Well, hope that you can get in and shock everybody.
Absolutely.
Well, not shock. I bet you're great. I've never seen you play, but
you got to come out there. You got to be out there tomorrow.
I'll have to.
I better see both of you there.
Yeah.
Well, we'll shoot for it. But now basketball on Thursday, another home game. And like I mentioned, Southern Arkansas coming into town. Huge playoff tournament implications on the line for both teams, women and men for both schools. So that should be really interesting. Now, on Friday, tennis will be back in action. They'll be in Clinton, Mississippi. Men's tennis will be against Mississippi College. Now, softball will be playing a conference series against Arkansas Monticello, 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Friday, and then it'll be 11 a.m. on Saturday. And then you guys will also play against Arkansas Monticello. Women's tennis will also be playing, but this time against Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. But go ahead and talk just briefly about that Monticello. I mean, you guys will be coming off that midweek game. Have y'all even looked ahead at like this series, or is it that one game at a time?
We really do take a 1-0 mentality. Yeah. Obviously we got obviously we have 3 starting pitchers that definitely won't be pitching in the midweek game because they're our conference starters. So those guys are looking towards the weekend already. But I mean, everybody else, all offensive starters play in the midweeks. I mean, like I said, that they're important. And Monticello is on a 7-game win streak. They're on a 4-game win streak on the road. They're undefeated in conference so far. I believe 6-0, have come off of 2 sweeps. So, I mean, they're riding high, but I think we're excited they got to come down to Arkadelphia and play us because, we feel hot at the right time too. And like you said, hopefully we continue it through the midweek. And even if we don't, like I said, our team's resilient. And, man, it's going to be a great series. Monticello, we have great games with them every year. It seems like the coaches get into it every year. The stands get into it.
Yeah.
It's one of those teams, not like a rivalry like Henderson is per se, but it's one of those teams where it's chippy every time we play, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, look forward to it. Now, on Saturday, some more Tiger action. mostly everything's going to be on the road with the exception of softball. They will be in town. You guys will be in Monticello. Tennis will still be in Memphis, Tennessee as they play against Lane. Wrestling will be in their NCAA Super Regional, so that will be really interesting as they're going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then track and field, both women's and men's. Men's, I think, are starting the season here on March 2nd against Hendrix. Well, not against Hendrix College, but it'll be at the Hendrix College Invitational in Conway, Arkansas. So that should be really interesting. I'm pretty sure we have a new sport starting up, which is always weird to say in March. So speaking of March, and also as I'm thinking of it, I believe that alarm has stopped. I don't hear it anymore. So we're alive. So that's nice. But anyway, it's March. Not yet. It's almost March, which means March Madness is going to be coming around. And this is the one year that I don't really know who is going to be the top real contender for winning the country, winning the NCAA tournament. UConn, I know, surprised a lot of people last year. When they played Arkansas, I was not all that surprised because they looked like the best team in the country for that game. I mean, they still are, to me, probably
carried
my
a lot
favorite.
Of it into this year too.
I mean, they lost Andre Jackson and Sonogo, but and I wanted to say one other guy, but I think they've kept everybody because they brought back Tristan Newton, who has been even better than he was last year. Caravan, I think, is their power forward's name. He's still there. Donovan Klingon, who was the backup center, was great. Took over for Sonogo this year as the starter and has been even better. And I don't even know who else is on that team, but they still have a really good group of players, and they're still my favorites. How about y'all?
I'm loyal to home, so I'd say if I was rooting for somebody, it'd be Houston. I mean, they're around the corner.
Right.
I would say Texas. We haven't had a great season, but if we're just talking favorites, like you said, who would you take as your favorite? I'd probably say Houston. I know they've been a very competitive program the last few years. I don't know if you guys know who Mattress Mac is, but
yes, I do.
He's just really famous. Obviously sells
Sports
mattresses.
better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he put. I haven't seen anything this year, but I know last year he put like over $1 million on Houston to win the whole thing, and so
he lost $1 million.
Yeah, but it's okay because a few years back when the Astros won the World Series, he cashed out over like $10 million or something like that. Yeah. But if I was rooting for one team, it'd probably be Houston. I think they might be the number one ranked in the country right now, in front of Purdue and UConn, like you said. But yeah, I know anything can happen in March, like you said.
Right.
I mean, all four of these one seeds can get bounced first round. I mean, things happen all the time. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Well, and I think Houston has one of the best defenses in the country, so that should be interesting as well. I think Purdue is a pretender, not a contender, because obviously they got bounced pretty early last year. Zach Edey's great, and I think this is the best. He's probably going to go back-to-back for National Player of the Year. I don't see anybody else that's really contending for that. I'm just trying to think of players off the top of my head. The guy from Tennessee, Dalton Nisht, I don't even know how to say his last name. He's been really good. I mean, Tennessee's number 4 in the country. But and Kentucky's had some guys play well. Terrence Shannon has played well. Kyle Filipowski has played really well for Duke. Well, actually, I'll ask something about him in just a moment.
Kentucky's had Rob Dillingham come off the bench, and he's been like electric for him some games.
Yeah, but he's a little erratic at times, so that's why he's still coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But Zach, who's your favorite?
I'm probably gonna have to roll with the hot hand, and I guess probably stick with UConn for this year.
Okay.
I don't know. Obviously, you got Houston, Purdue, and UConn is like that. Probably like the 3 best. I think most people would like agree right now, but. Yeah. As far as Purdue goes, yeah, like you said, they're always pretenders. They always, like, not just last year, but in the past before them, they're always like ranked super high in the tournament, and then they'll always lose like early second round around then, just like last year. But Houston, like you were talking about Houston, they could – I feel like if they were to get over the hump, this would be a good year for them because I think they've been to 3 straight Elite Eights. Yeah. And, like, obviously this year, like you were talking about earlier, there's no, like, clear-cut, like, dominant, like, number one team this year. So I think March is – like, obviously March is always crazy. I love March Madness. It's one of my favorite times of the year. But I think this year it's going to be even crazier than it usually is just because – you know, I feel like every single week we've had like multiple like top 10 teams get dropped by like unranked opponents. Yeah. And so it's almost like this season, it's almost felt like March all year long.
It's competitive as crap.
There's been a ton of upsets.
Well, you could even say UConn's a pretender because they lost, I think, pretty recently to Creighton by a good amount. Yeah. Now, Creighton's number 13 in the country.
Yeah, and I believe they lost by like
12.
30. Like I think they got destroyed by them.
Yeah.
But
then
like,
we've
right
seen
before
Creighton
that,
lose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Well, maybe Arkansas wins it all.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this has been.
We beat a few of the teams that are in the top 10. Like we got Duke. I guess the Purdue game.
Well, Duke.
Count, but we beat Duke.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish that Purdue game
awesome
counted.
game.
I think we'd still be ranked.
Oh yeah.
If that counted, that was.
We'd probably be in the top 10.
That gave us so much hope, and then it died. Yeah. But that Duke game was awesome too. I mean, we hadn't played Duke since we beat them in the national championship.
Or well, we hadn't beat them. We played them in the Elite Eight. Like a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
That 1 year.
But
other than that, yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't played them very often. But, yeah, that was – I will say Colorado's a team that's interesting. Not to, like, contend for a championship. I just was thinking they have a lot of talent on that team. But, yeah, Arkansas, we just would be lucky if we made the SEC tournament. So there's a lot of good teams in the SEC this year. Now, I will kind of give a shout-out to some of the other smaller teams in the natural state. So Arkansas Little Rock has been phenomenal in the Ohio Valley Conference. I was for sure there would be a coaching change, despite the fact that Darrell Walker is an Arkansas legend. He's gotten that team to a 17-11 record. I don't know where they sit in the conference, but they're probably pretty high up. And just a drastic turnaround for being a team that, you know, is pretty terrible, but former Razorbacks KK Robinson and Mikkel Mitchell have been tearing it up for the Trojans. And then Arkansas State, they played in their first nationally televised game like on Thursday since like 1992 or something like that against – now Arkansas State, the record's not great, but they were playing against the best team in the conference in Troy, and they beat them by a good amount. And it was at home, and the crowd was all there because it was nationally televised, and they packed the house there in Jonesboro. So they're a team that I'm really liking. They have a great offense. I don't think their defense is that good, but their offense is fantastic. And then even Arkansas Pine Bluff having the best year we've seen in a while from them. But again, their defense is not so great. Their offense is really pretty good. UCA hadn't had a great year, still searching for that 10th win. But they've had decent games every once in a while. But yeah, so it's been a decent year for some of the other colleges, making up for Arkansas. But so something else that I wanted to mention. So you won't be seeing all three of us together at this desk. Well, not ever, but we're going to have a few changes around here. It won't be us three here talking every single time. We're going to have a couple new recruits coming in, one being Jeremiah Turner, who is a tight end for Ouachita football program. He is wanting to sit in and, you know, be a co-host, and I was like, you know what? Sure, I'll let you do that. And then also Jalen Davis. Some of you might recognize him because he interviewed Lawson Sanders last semester, and he will also be sort of – we're going to be rotating. It's going to depend on everybody's availability, and, you know, so you'll get to see who the new faces are possibly next week. Who knows? But anyway, so it should be interesting. So
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, yeah. Nice variety. And also get to hear some nice insider scoops for Ouachita football. Always great. And Jalen Davis does band. So in some places consider band a sport. Hey, I was in marching band in high school, and I hated that thing. I hated it. It seemed like we worked harder than a lot of athletes, but it was just because not everybody was very good, so we'd have to like constantly start over. So when you're constantly stopping and starting over and stuff and repeating everything, you do feel like an athlete, especially when you're on the football field when it's 100 degrees in the middle of the afternoon. That is my piece. I have said it. So, yeah. I want to. Anything else you guys want to add before we cut it off?
I think we're all right.
Yeah. Best thing y'all seen this past week?
The weather's been beautiful.
Oh my goodness, yes. I am burning up sitting in this chair, but outside of that, the weather has been delightful.
I gotta say, it feels good outside, but one thing I am annoyed with the weather though is the wind. It's been so windy.
It has been windy.
Today, intramurals, like we've got intramurals going on. Intramural ultimate frisbee started up today, and I had an ultimate frisbee game today. And I'm no college athlete, but when it comes to the wind and playing ultimate frisbee, it wasn't really doing us any favors today.
No.
It was kind of hard to get the disc flying around, but it was still fun. Yeah, my team caught a win. We won 9-6. So that was pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, I can see how the win would be pretty impactful. I was home this weekend. I said that really loudly, but I was home this weekend, and on Sunday the wind was especially strong. And playing basketball outside, I was missing a lot of free throws, and it wasn't because I was just missing them. It was because the wind.
Oh, it's always the wind.
It's always the wind. It's always the wind. I can have a miss, a horrible miss, and actually have an excuse. But anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and cut it there. So thank you again for tuning in to the Roar Rundown Sports Podcast. I'm Chris. This is Zach and Weston. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good evening, and go Tigers.